Triumph of Feudalism in 1857. This short podcast is an extract from my book, The Sepoy Rebellion of 1857-59, reinterpreted, published in 1999, now republished on the Amazon books and titled as 1857. As you can see, this is the book, the copy held by the Columbia University Library, the Sepoy Rebellion of 1857-59, 1998. This was also serialized in the Defense Journal. Now, there is a severe misconception regarding 1857. Recently, in a book which the author gifted to me for reviewing, Dr. Ishtiaq, Jinnah's biography, he makes a statement, quote, on page 26, Oriental despotism which had prevailed before the British captured India and which the company had exploited to its advantage, thus ended, unquote. This is a conclusion Dr. Ishtiaq makes about the end of the British company in 1858. This is a totally false conclusion. It lacks substance and is absolutely inaccurate. I have cited this just to quote that the understanding of 1857's social impact is not clear among our very enlightened thinkers till to date. The reader may note that one of the greatest analytical thinkers of the post 1857 British era in India was Metcalfe, whose magnum bonum intellectual achievement was the book titled The Aftermath of the Revolt, India 1857 to 1970. The copy I am quoting was published by the Princeton University Press in 1964. Metcalfe, in this classic book, thus summed up British states' rule in India as below. Quote, it rested upon the solid support of the conservative and aristocratic classes and upon the principle of complete non-interference in the traditional structure of Indian society, and it evoked an allegiance above and beyond its value as a force for the regeneration of India. Yet precisely because of this, the empire after the mutiny was less viable than before, for the British no longer sympathized with the demands of the educated classes for a share of power. They were disabled from meeting the nationalist challenge in a friendly and responsive spirit, unquote. Now, the triumph of feudalism. From this scribe's book on 1857, the significant support rendered to the British in 1857 by the feudals had another very negative impact both for the British and for the common Indian. For the British, this loss was in financial terms. For Indians, this loss was in political terms. The British concluded after the rebellion that increased taxation, which seriously affected the large landholders, had been a principal cause in participation of the large landholders, talukdars, in the rebellion, particularly in Awadh, where the British had to suppress the rebellion till the first half of 1859. Thus, in India as a whole, and particularly in Bombay and Madras, the rate of land tax per acre began to decline. Thus, gradually land revenue diminished in terms of percentage as proportion of government income after 1857. Thus, the most unfortunate result of the successful British suppression of the rebellion of 1857 was that for the sake of preserving their colonial hold on India, the British administrators adopted a policy of not taxing the feudals in particular and the agricultural classes in general as less as possible. The British thus after 1857 lost the nerve to tax the countryside. All this happened at a time when income from agriculture all over India was rising. On the other side, to compensate for this loss, the British adopted with greater enthusiasm a policy which successively increased taxation levied on the professional and trading classes in the larger towns. This led to increased participation of the urban classes in anti-British parties like the Congress, etc. This explains why the professional and business classes became more and more anti-British till 1858 and till 1858 and till 1947. It is an irony of Indo-Pak history that Lord Canning, in order to quickly pacify the Awadh countryside, totally reversed the progressive policies of Lord Dalhousie to destroy feudalism in India. Pacifying the Awadh countryside was militarily a small affair. But just to save money and European casualties, the British adopted this policy. 1857 massively increased the forces of conservatism in India, led to a feudal British alliance, and worked against the basic rights and egalitarianism in India. Reaction triumphed after 1857. That is why you see so many of these clever lawyers from cities, urban classes, Oxford and Lincoln Inns educated, becoming anti-British. Although they did it very safely, barring few exceptions, and the British of course were very civilized. Gandhi and Nehru were generally given a good treatment even in the jail. But the sad part is that the British allied with the feudal classes. Thus 1857 was the triumph of feudalism, and the transition from British East India Company, who wanted to abolish the feudal classes, to the British government after 1857 was a complete triumph of reaction. It is surprising that even till to date our so-called brilliant political scientists have failed to realize this harsh fact and still make false and generalized statements in their books. Even those who read their books are not clear.